The Forever War by Joe Haldeman is well known as one of the great classics of military science fiction. The book was published in 1974 and would go on to win the Nebula Award in 1975, as well as the Hugo and Locus Awards in 1976. The book was directly inspired by other works of military science fiction like Starship Troopers, as well as Haldeman's own experiences as a veteran of the Vietnam War. The story of the book follows William Mandela, a young man recruited as a soldier into the United Nations Exploratory Force, which sends Mandela and his comrades across time and space to fight against an alien race known as the Taurans. The time dilation created from traveling at faster-than-light speeds causes Mandela and his comrades to age slower than those humans still living on Earth. Beyond surviving a war against a hostile alien race, Mandela must also grapple with the fact that the Earth that he knew has now radically changed in his absence. It is a deeply personal story about military life, the horrors of war, and the decline of society. As a lover of Starship Troopers and military science fiction, I felt as if I owed it to myself to read this famous work that is so often compared to one of my all-time favorite books. Here are my thoughts on The Forever War. The strongest aspect of The Forever War is just how thematically rich it is. It is a book that tackles everything from the psychological effects of war to the way society treats its veterans. From the very first pages, the central idea of the book becomes clear. Just as the title suggests, the war against the Taurans is senseless, brutal, and has no end in sight. The United Nations soldiers who are fighting the Taurans have been forcibly drafted and have no clue as to why the war is being waged in the first place. To make them more compliable, they are forced to receive hypnotic suggestions that implants wartime propaganda into their minds to make them more willing to fight. The military in this world also encourages extreme promiscuity among its ranks to increase troop morale and create a greater sense of camaraderie among the soldiers. These extreme tactics by the United Nations military demonstrate the harshness and utter brutality of the war that is depicted over the course of the narrative. This scenario is a clear comparison to the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War, a brutal war with unclear objectives that resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. The brilliance of this book is that on its surface, it has the premise of a typical space adventure story that is lighthearted and filled with fantastical elements. However, once the reader sees the way in which soldiers are treated and the war is conducted, all notions of a romanticized war are immediately stripped away. As the main character William Mandela states, "The ground between us was slick red with Tauran blood. All God's children got hemoglobin." This bait and switch of the reader's expectations acts as a perfect parallel to many veterans' experiences of the Vietnam War. Many American men went onto the field of battle believing the war to be like World War II, a conventional war with clear objectives and whose enemy represented a tangible threat to the United States. However, upon arriving and seeing the carnage and devastation of the Vietnam War, these men quickly discovered that the conflict was unconventional in nature and was not as black and white as they had originally thought. While The Forever War examines these themes in light of the Vietnam War specifically, the book's messages are broad enough to be applied to conflicts in the modern age as well. Beyond the effects of war on soldiers, the book also explores the effects of war on society as a whole. One of the most heartbreaking elements of the book is how it deals with the theme of veterans being ostracized from the rest of society. This theme is explored through the use of what the characters in the book describe as future shock. In the world of the Forever War, future shock refers to the experience that veterans receive when returning home from war, only to find that decades have passed and the Earth that they left behind has been radically changed. Through the course of the story, the society of Earth radically changes in ways that feel eerily similar to our world today. In this new world, the traditional family unit has been dissolved, eugenics are commonly practiced, urbanization has overtaken rural life, laws regarding population control are enforced, and violence has become so commonplace that it has become accepted as a societal norm. As such, the society of Earth grows more and more apathetic towards the war and begins to treat its veterans with apathy and active hostility. As William Mandela says, "I fell asleep and dreamed that I was a machine, mimicking the functions of life, creaking and clanking my clumsy way through a world, people too polite to say anything, but giggling behind my back." To me, this is the most heartbreaking line of the book, as it is a very real experience for veterans of the Vietnam War, as well as for many veterans today. It is this prophetic world building that truly solidified this book for me as a classic. Despite addressing the political and societal issues of the 1970s, the book maintains a timeless quality that I believe readers can connect with regardless of their knowledge of the book's historical context. The characters of the Forever War also serve to enhance the story's thematic goals, with the two standouts being its leads, William Mandela and Mary Gay Potter. William Mandela functions as an avatar for the reader to discover and understand the world and conflict of the book. He begins the story as somewhat naive, but over the course of the story begins to develop his own opinions apart from those that are being fed to him. He also functions as a sort of author self-insert character for Joe Haldeman. In interviews, Haldeman has said that he came up with the name Mandela as an anagram of his own last name, Haldeman. In the book, Mandela is also a physics student, just as Joe Haldeman was in real life. While Haldeman has said that he did not intend the Forever War to be a biography, he has made it very clear that he based the character of Mandela on his own experiences of the Vietnam War. By the same token, Mandela's love interest, Mary Gay Potter, is named after Joe Haldeman's wife, Gay Haldeman. While some author self-inserts can be annoying, in the case of the Forever War, it serves to enhance the narrative rather than take away from it. Knowing that these characters are based off of real people serves to make the themes that much more impactful. The characters are not very deep or complex, but you, as the reader, come to sympathize with them as they endure hardship together and attempt to survive together in this brutal war. Their connection is endearing, and nestled amidst this brutal conflict is a love story that ends in a way that is surprising yet satisfying. Despite the book's often bleak and dismal tone, it ends in a way that is bittersweet for these characters and offers a glimmer of hope in an otherwise hopeless universe. In conclusion, The Forever War is a masterful piece of science fiction with themes that remain relevant and immediately applicable in our current day and age. It has a clever premise, endearing characters, powerful themes, and an ending that truly surprised me. When I initially finished the book, I thought it was decent, but the longer it has sat with me, the more I have come to appreciate just how much this book accomplished for military science fiction and how much its themes and characters have stuck with me. It is truly everything that I could want in a science fiction novel. Therefore, I am giving The Forever War by Joe Haldeman 5 out of 5 stars. It is a book that truly deserves the praise it gets and earns its place as one of the all-time great science fiction novels. I hope you all have enjoyed this review. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below on your own thoughts on The Forever War, as well as what books you would like for me to cover in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.